Are you somebody who's always taking care of your friends, always there to lend a hand, asking if what they need to feel better? Are you always giving your time and energy to your kids, family, spouse, friends, or other people, and get really angry or upset when people don't recognize or see how much effort you've been putting into them? Are you more comfortable giving than receiving? Then you might be the Enneagram Type 2, the giver, defined by your need to be loved and needed. Twos have a very deep desire to be liked and appreciated. Type 2s are very attracted to power or people who are in positions of power, and they can often be a great help to them. They make great assistants, personal assistants, mothers, fathers. They're great at being empathic and feeling out what you need and being able to get it to you whenever you need it. Like I said, they're attracted to power, but usually what they do is they attach themselves to somebody in a position of power, and they go and run and get everything they need for them and be their perfect assistant, and they get a feedback off of that. Like, they get the sense that they're being loved. Twos really fear deep down that you won't love them if they stop giving, that if they're not the nurturing, giving person that you've always known, that you won't love them anymore. That's their deepest fear. And it's a sad story with twos because they can be manipulated and used very easily, and with their attraction to people in positions of power, that can really get them into some trouble and get them into some really abusive and ugly relationships that most of the time can't be healed unless they do intensive therapy. And so a lot of twos resort to independence and say, you know what, I don't need anybody, I'm gonna just stop giving altogether. I was so stupid to give to that person. I gave them everything and they did not treat me the way that I thought I deserved to be treated, and so I'm gonna be totally independent and not rely on anybody. While that is that is a necessity, twos often fall into a codependent lifestyle, and so they need that independence, but sometimes they go to hyper independence and they never grow on. If we look at the maturity timeline for dependencies, that starts with dependent, where you're a kid and you need your parents, authority figures, and other people to help you with things, and you move into either codependence or independence directly after that stage. And a lot of twos move into codependence, where they feed off of somebody else, but it's in a way that meets their needs, and the other person is getting their needs met, and they feed back and forth off of each other. And when they get that supply removed, they can't really function, they don't know who they are, and they have to go back to dependence and then go to independence. And so twos get stuck in this hyper independent state of mind where they say, I'm never gonna let anybody hurt me again, I'm never gonna allow somebody to do that. And being independent for a while is great, but that's not the last stop on the dependence maturity scale. The last stop is interdependence. This is being self-aware, knowing your strengths, knowing your strong suits, acting intentionally, and combining your strengths with somebody else who is also just as strong as you are. And that's the step that twos will die sometimes independent and not see anything wrong with that, and they'll never let anybody in again because they can just be hurt so badly. Twos are definitely the most emotional people on the Enneagram. Healthy twos are thoughtful, kind, and set and enforce healthy boundaries. And this is what a two needs to learn to do in order for them not to get taken advantage of again, is to set and enforce healthy boundaries and give intentionally. You can't lose that givingness that makes you a two. You have to go into giving sparingly, not giving to get, not giving to love, not giving to get love, or giving to be needed because you like the feeling of somebody needing you. You have to give from an intentional space that's sparing. I'm only going to give this person something because I see now that they're treating me with respect, so I can go ahead and give this to them. Or I see that they've been trying, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my gift and go ahead and give it to them. But if they step out of line, if they disrespect me, I have to lay the hammer down and I have to put a boundary up and say, look, I'm not tolerating this. That's what a healthy two really looks like. And when they own their boundaries, they can just flourish, and they can be some of the most wonderful people to be around. I mean, they just give to everybody. You know, I think I have friends that are twos who are always trying to do acts of service, trying to fix things up for people, trying to arrange matchmaking people. You know, a lot of twos are really good at matchmaking and stuff like that. Yeah, that's twos in the positive sense. They can be really inspiring and really fun to be around, and they'll be there for you no matter what. They're always there emotionally to support you and cry with you and grieve with you and just kick their shoes off and sit on the couch and just be with you. And when you're at your lowest and at your worst, those are the healthy twos. The sin for the two is pride, and it's pride because they get so much validation and feeling from giving that they then turn that inward on themselves and have this pride and this arrogance to them. Well, they're like, you know, I gave them so much, I did this, I did that for them, and they should be grateful that I was even in their presence. An unhealthy two can get that way. Unhealthy twos also often tend to keep score about how much they gave to you and how much you didn't give to them, and will lash out if they feel they're being disrespected or controlled in any type of way, you know. It's been said that twos in childhood grew up not having their emotional needs met, mainly from one particular family member, the father or the mother, mainly the father. And the two is a manifestation of the feminine energy even in a man. Masculine and feminine are just some terms that I use to describe the opposite sides of the poles. All of these, whether masculine or feminine, can be present in both, and all of them are present in both men and women. So as a child, they didn't feel like they were emotionally supported, so they grew up and they try to fill that space for other people rather than for themselves. Usually the parent that neglects them the most, they try to be a helper to them, and then the cycle continues with them being helper to everybody else all around because their parents usually can't support them emotionally. Let's say a two had a single mom and there was no dad, and so the two senses their mom becoming increasingly sad and vulnerable and weak, and so they go to help her, and they have to help her get up in the morning. Maybe their mom's depressed, maybe they have to help out around the house because it's getting dirty. These are things that can develop, or is theorized that can develop a two personality trait. The other way that people go with this, instead of a wound that would be a wound, they go into an affirmation. So they're let's say that there's still one single parent, maybe it's a dad and a son, and when the boy starts to give unconditionally, he starts to give things away, he starts to give his time away, the dad notices and says, wow, you're really giving, and I appreciate that. Or they notice them when they start to give, and their parents start to glow when they give, when, you know, they get the love that they need when they start to give. Their parent loves them when they start to give. So that's how you can become a two through affirmation. Twos have the sin of pride, but they have the gift of selflessness if they can become healthy, and in the negative, if they are unhealthy, then it turns into pride. Some famous people that may be twos are Maya Angelou, Mother Teresa, Mozart. I read was a two somewhere, so that's good. A movie character or a superhero, I usually do superheroes that you can relate this character to, is Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. She is an empath, she is a giver, she gives emotion to people, she can make anybody feel a certain type of way. That is a two to a T. And their archetype is the lover. Out of the King, Warrior, Magician, and Lover from I think Robert Greene, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but the archetype is the lover. So twos are in the heart space. They're in the obvious heart space. So that means they're the first number in their category. So in the hearts, it's 2, 3, and 4. The 2 is the first one, so it's the obvious heart. It looks like the heart the most. When you see a 2, you're just like, that person is filled with emotion. And people in the heart space are all about emotion. So that's the 2. That was all I have for twos today. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. go click on the next video. What number do you think I am? I'm definitely not a 2. So if you think you know what number I am after listening to multiple of these, or if you're a little bit familiar with the Enneagram and you feel like you know, go ahead and comment that down below. And other than that, I will see you later.